Hey everybody, I'm Claudio Ferrera and I'm a barber here at Fade Room. Today we're going to be demonstrating a Lakers logo hair design. As you know, Lakers won the championship this weekend, so we're going to be doing a freestyle haircut. Today we're going to be doing a Lakers haircut. Before I start a haircut or any sort of design, I like to make sure the hair is even all around the head. So I'm going to be using a 1.5 on the Oster Octane machine, and I'm going to be going against the grain. We're going to even it all out, and then once we kind of have like a clean canvas, we're going to be doing this design right over here on the back of his head. So this is the haircut that we're going to be doing. It's the Lakers logo. And because I need a decent amount of space to be doing the design, to do it on the side, I feel like I don't have enough room. So we're gonna be doing it right on the back of his head. Here it's the area that I have the most space to work with and where I feel like the most comfortable to do the hair design as well. This is the same thing you do when you're doing like a one-level haircut. You just want to have a really clean cut, pretty much like a clean canvas. The cleaner your haircut is, the cleaner your design or work will be, I find. I feel like the Oster Octane, it's a stronger machine. It's like a power tool, where if I were to use like an actual clipper, like a fader, it still gets the job done, but I feel like with the Octane, it's a little bit quicker, like the guards are metal. It gives like a little bit of a cleaner cut, and because I'm doing like a one-level haircut, I find that it's number one, the most time efficient, and number two, it's the most even versus like having just like a clipper to like fade your way into it like a haircut, right? So I started barbering when I was pretty much just leaving high school. Started cutting a bunch of friends in my basement and my parents' basement, my parents' garage. Kind of started as like a little hobby. I was intrigued in cutting hair. Never thought I was going to be a barber full time. And then before you know, you have a bunch of people coming over your house, and you start taking the craft a little bit more serious. Now that we already cut his hair to a one-level haircut, I'm using a brush just to clean out all like the hair that's like left on his head. Like I said, when you do a design, you want a really clean haircut. You don't want any extra like hair or debris to kind of like be on your way with a clipper or anything. So the cleaner the canvas, the cleaner the look, right? So I'm gonna start off by finishing off the one-level haircut. I'm gonna start lining up around the ear. We're gonna give him pointy sideburns, give him a line up in the front, and then we're gonna do the design last. Right now we gotta keep the mask on because our barbershop went back to, for those of you who aren't in the Toronto area or Toronto region, obviously everyone's going through COVID, and our city kind of just put us back onto stage 2, which means we're not allowed to produce any beard services. I've always been pretty artistic, man. I used to draw on the side, sketch around. So when it comes to hair designs, I find that it's a little bit easier for me versus like a lot of other people. There's a lot of artists that cut hair now. Like ideally, I would probably say like if you ever see Rob the Original, he's a barber in the States, and his work is just like impeccable, man. Like I've never seen somebody do portraits on people's heads or anything like that guy does. Like to me, he's more of an actual artist and a barber. Designs, I think it's one of those things you're still learning. Like even today, I'm still learning. Like today we're doing a Lakers logo, and I've never personally actually done a Lakers logo before. So it's one of those things where I think you just can't be scared or shy to experiment or do. And sometimes like when you have a challenge, it kind of makes you want to get better at the craft, right? Like if you're too comfortable doing haircuts that are easy for you, how are you gonna grow? How are you gonna get better? And it's the same thing for a lot of barbers I find that are starting off. Originally, they might be scared to put like a little line or a part in the hair, and then eventually you try to work into maybe doing a star and then branch off from there. However, I do know a lot of barbers that are amazing at cutting hair, and they don't do hair designs. So personally, I don't think somebody who does hair designs doesn't make them any better of a barber than anyone else. Because I also know barbers who are really good at designs and they can't really do like a clean haircut. I think it's a very niche market. Like out of, let's say you do 10 haircuts a day, how many guys are really getting designs, right? I might have maybe 1 or 2, and that's just because I do quite a bit of them. But when I look at our barbershop overall, we don't have that many clients coming in here asking for designs. There's a lot of guys who ask for like a little slit or a part, but nothing really like that's out there. I enjoy the industry a lot. I think now things are progressing quite a bit with the internet, YouTube. People are showcasing each other's work, giving tips. It makes it a lot easier now for a barber to learn and acknowledge, because before it was only trial and error. So you either have, the only way of really learning was just practicing, messing up, and do it again. And if you don't have the right client or right model to help you demonstrate or help you practice, you'd pretty much be screwed in a way. Where now with social media, it's so much easier. You can just kind of like drop the post on Instagram or something and say, I'm looking for a model tomorrow, who's down? So we're gonna start off by doing the L. And before you do any design, I think you should kind of draw it out and envision it. So I'm gonna be doing the L right here with the ball. So some people use like a graphic tech pencil or some sort of pencil to do the outline. So some people actually draw it in and then they do the design. I like to actually use my clippers to do it, but I sometimes use a graphic tech pencil just kind of like have like a good placement. So right now I'm gonna be doing the bottom part of the L because I think that's like, you wanna make sure it's uniform to where you want it to be. So that's gonna be my first point. Do my second point. My top part of the L. I have refused designs in the past because I haven't felt confident in doing it. Sometimes I find that certain clients they have this illusion that like you're a barber and you can do anything, and that's really not the case. Everyone's at a different stage in their industry, or everyone's at a certain comfort zone. So if you feel uncomfortable, I recommend you just decline the service or decline the client, because there's nothing worse than actually like doing like a really bad job or something you're unsure of. Or if you are, just, I would say speak to the client and let them know like we could try to do it, but I'm not 100% confident with it. Or if you're gonna go that approach, maybe you could even do it at like, see where I'm kind of doing the design right now, like this is still a good area where if I did mess up, let's just say, I could go and give them like a high skin fade and I could eliminate the design. Versus like, imagine if I put the Lakers logo on top of his head. The only other option to remove it is essentially by going completely bald all around this haircut, right? So when you draw it out, it kind of gives you a better pinpoint. You don't necessarily got to follow these dots, but it kind of gives you like a layout so you kind of know where to work with. So when it comes to designs, it's a lot of like corners and shapes. So sometimes you might just have to use like a quarter of your outliner, half, or maybe the full thing. You have to use your judgment. Like on top, I use the full part. I originally outlined it in this direction, and then I like to switch it around and just clean up the bottom half as well, so you get a cleaner line. For some of these corners, I'm only going to be using like a quarter of it. Same thing, use both sides of the outliner. Now some people argue saying when you use like a graphic type pencil or some sort of crayon, it takes away from the design, where you might not see as clean. It's not a requirement, it's something that I use sometimes. So that kind of looks like the letter T. If you look at the Lakers logo, kind of looks like a letter T. Sometimes there's those little like details that you gotta really get into place. Let's continue from the bottom now. And as you can see, I'm only using like 1/8 of my outliner blade just because I'm trying to get clean curve. Whenever you're connecting places, you can shut off the clipper and just make sure you want to get a clean line, right? So you gotta, you're not gonna try to start going up here because you could easily mess that up. So sometimes you gotta like shut off the clipper, and although I did like dots as a guideline, sometimes you gotta remove the dots from your head and just be like, okay, how can I connect all of them? Some things I like about the industry are the fact that you always get to meet new clients and meet new people. You don't really know who's gonna sit in your chair. Connections are endless, and I find that you're always kind of growing or networking with like new faces and everything. And another thing I really like is, for example, I kind of like doing like art and like designs and stuff like this. So once in a while when you have a client who's willing to do it, it kind of makes your day change up a little bit because it's like a new task, right? Like, I like having a challenge. Then there's certain things I dislike because I find that there's a lot of barbers in our industry who have like really big egos, and like everyone's trying to one up each other. I find where when I see good work, man, I tell somebody like, a good haircut, or keep it up, or try doing it like this. Like, and or vice versa. I enjoy it when other barbers give me their input on something. But recently I've been finding that there's like a big change on like a lot of young barbers are like new to the industry, or like a lot of barbers that are coming into this, they're doing it more for, I don't know, I feel like the social media presence versus actually just haircutting. Like a lot of people now are, I don't know, I feel like it's almost like a trend. Like, you know, like for a while, like personal trainers was like a trend, like who had the freshest kicks or who had the freshest, I don't know, I feel like it's more of like a following versus the actual craft itself. Just cut hair to cut hair. New advice for a new barber, I would definitely say don't be scared to try new haircuts. Definitely invest in classes or like group look and learns and stuff like that. I think that will help you get that one-on-one experience. Don't be shy to ask questions and practice. Like practice is the #1 way to get results or improve, and don't compare yourself to any other barber in the industry, because everyone's learning at a different pace or a different shop, different environment. And sometimes people get certain clients who want certain haircuts, so it might not be your fault why you're not progressing on a certain area in the industry. COVID affected most barbershops, I would say, in the GTA or Toronto area a lot. More Toronto than the outskirts, I find, just because we've been closed a little bit longer. Like right now, for example, phase 2 is only Toronto. If someone really wants to go and get let's say a beard service done, it's kind of arguable because they'll just get their haircut here and then drive up 20 minutes and be up in Vaughan or something like that, which is like a suburb, and just do their beard service. So I don't know, I don't necessarily agree with like everything they're doing. Same thing with restaurants. They're like, oh, we're gonna shut down restaurants in the city because there's more cases in Toronto, let's say, but now people are just gonna drive up 20 minutes, eat there, and if you're worried about the people who have COVID going to a restaurant, the people with COVID could just go eat at a restaurant 20 minutes out of the city, so I don't know. I'll be honest with you, I find that shutting down barbershops isn't the only issue for COVID. I think in the industry it actually causes more problems, because when I look back at like the first time we shut down, I see a lot of barbers that were at home not cutting anyone. And then I'd go outside and I would walk around and I'd see everybody with fresh haircuts anyway. So it's very frustrating when you have clients asking you, like, can you cut my hair? And you're trying to follow, let's just say, like the city's protocol. And everyone's getting haircuts anyway. So it kind of makes you question, like, people are getting haircuts somewhere else. So it's either a different city or they're getting haircuts out of their house, which that's okay because they have rules implemented where it's okay to have like 2-3 people out of your home. So I don't know, I just feel like it's kind of like a gray area. And now what you're doing is you're kind of ruining the whole industry in a total, because a lot of shop owners have been taking years to build their business to get people to go to the barber shop. They built like a whole system in their shop, and now clients are just getting, like, say, barbers to go to their house and cut their hair, and barbers don't want to pay booth rent or they might not want to go back to the barber shop to go work for their owner, or I don't know, like it kind of causes, I think it causes more problems down the line. I think shops should still be open, but they might have to just regulate like glass, like I don't know, plexiglass in between each station, or restrict like an appointment only basis, and make sure barbers are cleaner. Like have like a health inspector go into shop to make sure like things are kind of like regulated. But the whole barber industry is a very gray area. Like some people say you gotta go to school. Most barbers are home taught. There's no real, I would say there's no real guideline to any of this. What do I think about a barber going to barber school? I think barbers should go to barber school because it teaches you one thing that a lot of self-taught barbers don't learn. And I would say that's the whole customer service aspect. But the only problem that we have here in Ontario is there's no actual barber school, there's hairstyling school. So it's a little bit frustrating if you're trying to become a barber and they're making you learn how to do updos and color and perms and stuff. Although a lot of those things are trending, and today you might not want to do it, down the line you might. But if you're just trying to go to the barber shop just to cut hair, like what barbers are predominantly known for, it's frustrating because you could be a great barber without doing perms or any of this stuff. That's just something that's became trendy recently. Like go down the street and you'll see a lot of these like old school Italian barbers, and they have never done perms or any of that, and they've been in business for 40, 50 years, and they look still pretty busy to me. In our shop, what we're doing to help flatten the curve is we're doing screening on every client that comes in. We're checking their temperature. We're getting them to fill out a form where we have some sort of their contact info, where if anyone were to come in here and have COVID, we could easily track who was in the barbershop that day or that week, and we could call everybody and make sure they go get checked up. We make them sign out a form, like a liability waiver, and we ask them to be honest. And if anyone has any symptoms or anything, we just kindly ask them to reschedule. So for phase 2 in our barbershop, we're not allowed to let clients use the washroom. We used to offer all of our clients like a drink, like a beverage, we used to give them a complimentary water or coffee. Unfortunately, that had to get removed. Every client, we got to wipe down our stations. We change new capes every client. We're very lucky that we have like a washing machine in the shop, so we're able to wash our capes throughout the day. So every single client, we're putting on a brand new cape. We're using a brand new neck strip. Tools, obviously, that has to be cleaned every client. We were doing that before regardless, as most barbers were. You know, you see where I messed up though? Went a little bit too thick right there, you see? I think the average eye won't even catch on to that. Huh? So this is my first time doing a Lakers design. I'm not gonna say that I'm the best barber at designs. Obviously everyone's still learning, or like I said, everyone's at a certain stage in their industry or skill level. What I'm seeing right now, what I'm doing right now is I'm doing like a shadow line around it, so it kind of gives more of that 3D effect. I have noticed there's one spot on this haircut that I didn't space out properly. And I'm gonna show you guys how I could fix that, or how I could fill it in. And that's this line right here. What I ended up doing is I took down this line a little bit too much. That's a minor mistake. I'm gonna show you guys how I can fix that. You think we should even mention that or no? So to me, this Lakers logo is looking very clean. What I'm noticing is maybe the next time I would probably like to probably do a little bit more of an even circle on the ball. And my spacing on the 3 slits on the Lakers logo, I think that could have been a little bit more structured. This top part right here, it looks like I went a little bit thicker. However, I do think that's still passable, but next time I do a Lakers logo, I would definitely like that to be a little bit more even. But this all comes with experience, and the first time you do any sort of design, don't expect that you're gonna nail it 100%, because nobody's ever done perfect on anything at their first attempt. And it's just kind of like I went back to the last pointer. Every barber's at a different stage. And don't be scared to try new things, because if you don't try new things, you're not going to learn, or you're not going to get out of that comfort zone. We're going to be doing just like a taper, just at the bottom. In this case, you want to still finish up the haircut, so I'm just doing a taper. I'm trying to bring it as high as I can to the design. Almost want to create like a little shadow line. Slide in the hair around the corners a little bit. And I think you're just going a little bit lighter at the bottom of the design, because the design over here is actually the hair. And I feel like the logo stands out a lot more. I'm gonna use a 1/16 guard. I'm gonna just lighten a little bit of the corners around it so it looks like you're kind of stretching out the taper. Do you want to color enhance it or just leave it? What do you think? It's up to you. Sometimes some people use razor blades, but because it's very fine, I wouldn't recommend doing it because it can make you like stretch out the line, and then if you do mess up, there's not like enough room to play with, unless I went like really big with the Lakers logo. So right now we're not allowed to use hot towels. Using a little bit of a gel shave just to help line them up. I like using a gel shave because it makes the client feel more comfortable, kind of glides, so it's not pulling on the hair so much. So normally I don't color enhance my designs because this is normally how the client's gonna walk out. Right now it's we're gonna be coloring it in just so it really pops out, and it's a client's request as well. So we're gonna stick to the Lakers colors. We're gonna be using purple and yellow, and these are graphic tech pencils. So you could just buy them online or whatever, right? On Amazon. I got these off Amazon. Right now there's also sprays that you could use. I haven't used any vibrant color sprays yet. I've only seen like natural colors like black or like different shades of brown, but I'm sure they exist somewhere. I think barbers using enhancements is really good. It makes the haircut stand out. I think definitely if you're trying to like do like a really good pose or something, it definitely stands out. However, a lot of clients don't know if a barber is using an enhancement or not. So once in a while when a client does come into the barber shop and they're like, oh, I want my hair to look like this, I think as a barber, you have to really explain to the client that you're not gonna be walking around like that every day. Enhancements don't last usually more than a few days. And I really like the graphic tech pencils because it's almost like a paintbrush, kind of just coloring it in. However, the only thing I dislike about it is the fact that I feel like it gets dull really quick, and then you always gotta start sharpening it. And as you can see, I just resharpened even the purple one. I know most people that are using a graphic text, they might only be using this for like their lineup or something, so they might not have to sharpen it so often. But if you're doing a hair design like this, I don't know, I'm still trying to find like that perfect product to help color and enhance your hair. I know there's like spray-ons and stuff, but I really like the graphic text just because it's a pencil and I feel like you get a little bit more control. You can see how dull it gets. You know what it is? Where I'm coloring in his hair, it's on the actual hair too. Right here, this is where now with the color it's a little bit easier. I took off a little bit too much purple so I could add a little bit more purple there. And we're gonna run the yellow opposite. However, this is only gonna fix the issue while the color is in there. That looks more even, eh? I think this is the one thing I hate about these pencils, huh? Spending more time sharpening than coloring, yeah? You almost need to have like 5 of the same color. You're ready to go. Add in a little bit of white. I think the white pops it out, man. And that's the colored version of the Lakers design. I think without color, you appreciate the haircut more. So this is my Lakers design that I did here with the Graphic Tech pencils. Normally, I wouldn't color it in, but because Lakers did win more for celebrating purposes, the color is gonna definitely pop out and he's gonna get recognition as he walks out of the barbershop. Usually I find you appreciate the haircut without color and enhancements because you could actually see the details. But for standing out purposes, color is a little bit better. So this is the Lakers cut. My name is Claudio. Thank you guys for watching and stay tuned for the next video.